My name is actually Chin-Yue, and I'll be talking today about the soon-to-be occupied new School of Architecture, Design and Construction at Stockwell Street in Greenwich. The aim of this is to aid the FM of Greenwich to help them move into the new site, and we'll be going from the completion of the construction stage all the way to dwell when the first students into the new doors. This is a £76 million project undertaken to provide the School of Architecture with a central London base. Osborne were enlisted as a main contractor on this project, and their works are very shortly soon to finish. The project is currently on time for students to begin their studies there in mid-September 2014. Although it must be noted Osborne are currently 5 to 6 months behind schedule, but the project is also notably on budget. At this final stage of the project, with it nearing completion, we have been appointed to advise Maritime FM as to the processes and stages they will need to consider from this point moving forward to the actual occupancy of the building. With such large-scale changes due to occur, all stakeholders associated with the project need to be considered to ensure they are handled correctly and ensure the success of the migration from the Avery Hill campus down to Greenwich. Prioritising them at this stage and oncoming stages, and also looking at their importance in the near future as this progresses, will also be key. The RIBA Plan of Works 2013 recognises the stages that a building project goes through and promotes the importance of recording and disseminating information about a completed project. So what is it then? It says here, the RIBA Plan of Work 2013 organises the process of briefing, designing, constructing, maintaining, operating and using building projects into 8 working stages. As you can see, this is adapted as previously the RIBA Plan of Works 2007 was 11 stages. This has now been refined to the 8 mentioned. The RIBA plan was recently revamped and updated with one of its key reasons, and one of the reasons that being key to this stage of the project at Stockwell Street, which as you can see was the importance of handover and post-occupancy work, which is currently where we are nearly arriving to with this project. In following a known structure, such as the RIBA Plan of Works, the client's approval at key stages of the project has been gained. In keeping the necessary stakeholders and user groups informed at their particular points of interest, throughout we ensure good delivery and conclusion to this project. As you can see here, we've got the new 8 stages of the RIBA Plan of Work, and before, when it was in 11 stages, lettered A to L. Where we're concentrating on now is between 5 and 7, which is the construction phase, which we're coming to an end to, and nearly arriving at the fit out, the handover and close out, and the in usage, which will be the end users in this project, such as the students and the staff members. So, to identify our key stakeholders, in line with the last stage of the RIBI, firstly we need to understand what a stakeholder is. A stakeholder, as it says up here, is anyone with an interest in a business. Stakeholders are individuals, groups or organisations that are affected by the activity of the business. In this case, the business being the Greenwich University, and the fact that we're moving to another campus, that is how is that going to affect all these stakeholders. There are 2 types. They can be internal or external. Internal stakeholders in this case are groups within the business, such as the students and the staff. Then we have external stakeholders who are groups outside of the business, but still would have interest in what is going on. For example, local residents. Here are a few stakeholders that we've listed here, internal and external. These come into play in various parts of the project. Those who are more
no involvement come interest once the project has reached a certain point. Others, who have had no involvement at the start, now have greater levels of influence and interest, in particular the end users, as we mentioned. So they become of greater importance. This completely changes from all the different stages throughout the project, from inception to completion to then lastly occupation. Those who particularly fall in section D, here, which is key players, who are at the highest level of influence, but also at the highest level of interest, must have their expectations and risks managed very carefully to ensure project success. If not, they can have a devastating effect on the whole delivery if they become negative towards the project or have problems. Those who fall into lesser categories still need to be handled with care because they still have some kind of influence or interest, but the effect of them becoming disgruntled isn't as great. But what we don't want is for their problem to be escalated, because this then becomes something bigger, and then it does in effect become detrimental to the project. Just because, for example, they were ignored or neglected because we felt they needed lower care. So communication. This involves all stakeholders. It is imperative that all are considered, no matter what importance you feel they have. If communication is not given in any type of form, then it allows the stakeholders to become dissatisfied, which, as mentioned, leads to an overall negative impact on the project. Internal communications within the construction team will always be easier, as the channels of communication already exist and naturally occur within a project, such as progress meetings. So this would be to the actual team, the contractor, and the CA. There's already things in place, already set up. These pre-existing project execution plans, which will already include communication plans between, as I said, the professional teams and contractors. Decisions will need to be made on best how to contact each stakeholder group, bearing in mind their influences mentioned on the project and also their interests. Our main concern is then, as before mentioned, category D. Having the highest level of influence and interest in the project, these are the largest risks associated to the project. Those risks need to be analysed closely and decisions made whether to ignore, reduce or mitigate them on the basis of what result they could have to the complete overall delivery. Using an effective communication strategy, as these key players are of such great importance to the project. As practical completion nears, communication between certain parties vastly increased in order to ensure any last issues or problems can be resolved so as not to delay handover. As you can see here, at this stage, those key players include the main contractor before, subcontractors who are working on the contractor, and that would include those who belong to the fit-out contract, the project managers from our side, facility management, and from the contract administrators, the facilities managers team, suppliers, and the professional team. Communication is key, as said here, but it's not just the communication you have to consider. It's not just the method, but the frequency and the variance of the frequency. Another key category is B, the keep informed. Although their actual influence is low in preventing the project being completed, they are mainly the groups who will be migrating to the site, as mentioned, the students, the staff, etc. If they aren't informed correctly and made correctly aware of dates, programs, and any new policies and procedures, then the move could be extremely unsuccessful. The transition needs to be made as smooth as possible with such a large number of existing students, new students, and members of staff relocating. Keeping these parties up to date will also create a safe environment, ensuring, for example, fire policies, emergency procedures are known amongst all of those who are migrating to the new site. Again, communication is imperative. The various suggested methods in which these should be used with different stakeholders is going to be discussed next. So again here, when looking at those who really fall into this category of the keep informed, they may not have the most influence and be that risk and produce that risk against the completion of the project, but they do need to be informed because they are going to be the end users of the new site. So here we're talking about the students, the staff, board of governors, the art shop, and
And then, under facilities management, those that are employed at Avery Hill who will be moving on to the next site, so for example, cleaning, security, catering. They all need to be made aware and kept up to date with progress so then they can plan for the new start at the new site. So, here we have a list of pick of the key stakeholders. First of all, we can start off with Osborne, who are the main contractor. Now, the second column in describes the frequency of communication. With Osborne, this was done on a weekly basis, and the variance of frequency, as we're nearing the end of the project, I think this will be stepped up to daily, and we'll advise that because there'll be more and more changes, and we need to be knowing about any delays or anything that they feel is going to be a problem towards the end of this project. The means of communication will be progress meetings on site, and then through daily contact, emails and telephone. In the additional info column, we have progress will be recorded against the programme daily, so we can be warned of any delays, and then if necessary, additional meetings on site, walk-arounds, to go through anything and look at the progress up front. Next in that key stakeholder column is the subcontractors and suppliers. These will be dealt directly mainly and be under the control of Osborne, but we still need some communication with them from the FM side, especially with the suppliers. As we know, the fit-out contract is going to be separate, and if all this equipment was unavailable or was delayed for any reason in arriving at the new university, then this would then cause a delay in the people moving in because they wouldn't have the facilities that they require. So this would then, the variance of frequency would increase to a weekly contact. This would just be ensure that deliveries are on time and they're going to be meeting their targets. As these are probably companies who are not within the location, they would be mainly spoken to on the telephone and have written emails, so we get confirmation to show when things are going to be arriving. Again, this will just be checks on deliveries and for subbies to ensure that they've got sufficient labour on site, so their targets are met as well. Next we look at the management side, and we have the PMs from the maritime and also from the CA and then the professional teams. These would be spoken to and communicated on a weekly basis, and then daily where required, and that's where the variance would be. Nearer to handover, the smaller details would be being sorted, so more communication would increase. By means, again, this is very similar to how it would be with Osborne, the main contractor. It would be progress meetings on site and then daily telephone and email exchanges. This would help share the information, which is key, ensure O&M manuals are ready for handover, and also that full explanation of all the systems, especially to the maritime FM, are relayed, because as we know, they're going to be the end users of this building, so they need to know exactly how it works. Otherwise, this could cause problems come the migration when the building is actually open. Also, we have, as mentioned before, though not as a key member, but the FM external contractors. These are those, as we already mentioned, caterers, maintenance, security. They would probably need to be contacted again towards the end, as the construction project comes to an end and we're looking at handover. Reason for this is because they need to make their plans as well. As they're going to be a totally new setup and a new site, they need to organise their staff, their deliveries and suppliers, so it's ready for opening. They again will be contacted via telephone and email, and if necessary, they will have a rundown on site of the new equipment being installed. The last one is students and staff members. Again, these are listed as keep informed, not key members, but they seem to be up to date with the progress. This will be done initially on a monthly basis, and then as we're looking to migrate down the site, increase it weekly. Done using the building system and via site being open. Depending at what stage something goes wrong and with which aspect of the job will determine the solution. The migration of the complete school is a vast task requiring pinpoint planning to ensure the courses are ready. Change can upset people and cause problems. So the positive side needs to be stressed and discussed with all those concerned to not create problems come open day when they will be then shown the change and they will be ready for existing and new students will be finding themselves being educated in new surroundings also. And therefore simple things like directions, instructions and locations all need to be thoroughly explained. So again, come open day, all will know where they should be, and they'll be able to locate all the amenities they find at this campus, the previous site, on the new one. Possible ways to share this information with these are, as discussed earlier, via the intranet and email updates, but also to look into the possibility of open days and walkthroughs, especially for staff, where they all need to be inducted in the usage of all the new equipment and procedures, etc. down at the new site. The technology may take some time to get to grip with, as it's not going to be what they're used to at this campus, and therefore it needs to be fully operable come the start of the new term, and they are fully up to date with how to use it.